Good afternoon. I'm Fred Rolando, President of the National Association of Letter Carriers, and it's really a pleasure to welcome each and every one of you to the 2018 celebration of NALC's Hero of the Year Awards. I really appreciate everybody's willingness to take time from what I'm sure is very busy schedules to be here with us today. This is really one of the most special events that I have the honor of being part of every year. And I anticipate that over the next several hours, you'll see why. As you hear how each of the letter carriers that are being recognized today acted in inspiring ways to improve or even save lives along his or her route. The 2018 Heroes performed a wide array of feats, rescuing residents on their routes from fires or crimes, stopping a runaway Jeep, using their foreign language knowledge to save folks, and helping the elderly with medical issues. And while their actions differed, they stem from the same factors that I think we're all familiar with, which is the knowledge of the neighborhood, commitment of the well-being of the residents, awareness of the surroundings, and a readiness to act when necessary, whatever the dangers might be. As a matter of fact, that pretty much describes what letter carriers are all about. And because they're out delivering the mail 6 or even 7 days a week in every community across this vast country, they're often the first one on the scene when action is necessary. And letter carriers regard what they do as more than a job. To them, it's a career in public service. They take their work seriously as they provide Americans with the most affordable and efficient postal services anywhere without a dime of taxpayer money, while delivering more than 40% of the world's mail. But their dedication to the people and the neighborhoods they serve goes way beyond that. They care about the people and the families that they serve. And that sense of caring is evident in each of the letter carriers being recognized today. Every day, letter carriers help people who need help, sometimes at great personal risk. Maybe they spot warning signs that an elderly person is in distress. They investigate and they act quickly. Perhaps they pull a child from a car wreck, or they improve the quality of life of someone on their route. They do these things, again, not because they are supermen or superwomen, but because they know the neighborhoods they serve, they know when something's not the way it should be, because they've watched the families grow and the children grow up over the years, and they care about their well-being and they care about their safety. In some cases, they act because almost 1/4 of letter carriers are wearing their second uniform, a proportion that's reflected and then some among today's honorees. And situational awareness and acting to protect others are simply second nature to them. The same willingness to help also applies to letter carriers as a whole, whether or not they're military veterans. That's because serving residents and improving communities is part of what letter carriers do. That's the big picture. But of course, it's individual letter carriers that put these principles into practice by performing acts of heroism or kindness on their routes. I can't wait to hear from our heroes about what they did and why they did it. But before we do that, I have a hunch that I'd like to share with you. I could be wrong, but I'm thinking that our heroes, each of our heroes, are going to downplay their accomplishments, because they always do. And why do I say that? Letter carriers tend to deny that their actions were anything out of the ordinary, while adding that any of their colleagues would have done the same thing. This, by the way, affects how we usually learn about these events in the first place. A thankful family member writes a letter to the local newspaper, a fire chief mentions the incident, or a neighbor tells the local postmaster about what happened. The one place we rarely learn it is from the letter carrier themselves. After doing something exceptional and putting themselves in danger, letter carriers generally brush themselves off and simply resume their routes, delivering the mail. And the letter carriers gathered here today saw an urgent danger, or they saw an unmet need, and they stepped up. They evaluated the situation, devised a plan, and took action. Generally, they acted individually, occasionally as a team. And afterwards, they didn't seek credit. They just went back to work. They and the thousands of letter carriers who go beyond the call of duty every year make me proud to be a letter carrier and proud to lead the National Association of Letter Carriers, representing the nation's 200,000 active and 80,000 retired city letter carriers. A little bit of context. This annual selection and recognition of Heroes of the Year began in 1974. Back then, NALC branches across the country wrote detailed reports of heroic deeds and articles for our monthly membership magazine, The Postal Record. These reports increased in frequency to the point where the NALC and the Postal Service agreed to hold a national recognition event. And we still publish in the Postal Record stories of bravery and community service performed by our members. This year, we highlighted almost 200 of these stories, as you can see in the book, A Year's Worth of Heroes, which is on your tables. This is probably a good time to thank Janessa. Where's Janessa? There you are. To thank Janessa, the NALC Communications Department, for her effort, dedicated effort in writing these stories for the Postal Record, month after month after month. And her communications co-workers, Donna, Rick, and Mike, also have contributed to the materials that you'll find on your tables today and on our website, by the way. Before we begin, I'd like to recognize some guests and thank them for joining us today to celebrate. Nope, I don't think Tafari made it. Okay. Well, let me start in no particular order. From the Postal Regulatory Commission, Chairman Robert Taub. Yeah. Don't believe Chief Bowers is here. No, okay, Chief Bowers wasn't able to come. From the Postal Service, please welcome Postmaster General Megan Brennan. Vice President of Labor Relations, Doug Tolino. And the Chief Human Resources Officer, Jeff Williamson. President of the APWU, Mark Dimmenstein. The newly elected President of the Rural Carriers, Ronnie Stutz. And the Mail Handlers President, Paul Hagrogian. Also here from the American Federation of Government Employees, or AFG, is their President, J. David Cox. There you are. And the President of the National Association of Postal Supervisors, Brian Wagner. So at this time, Megan, if you would you come up and say a few words?
We just settled negotiations. Hey, thank you, Fred. Good afternoon, everyone. I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you, and I first would like to thank all of the postal employees in the room for your service, for what you do day in and day out to represent this tremendous organization and to serve our customers. Special thanks to Fred for the invitation. We are honored to be here to recognize the NALC Heroes. And I think your president said it best. You do more than deliver mail. You represent the Postal Service. You care about your community. You live in these communities. And your selfless acts, your humanitarian efforts, deserve this recognition. So I want to thank you on behalf of the Postal Service for your contributions to our society, to your neighbor. Know that you make a difference. And again, I'd like to thank you, and I also want to say how proud I am to be a postal employee. And it's days like this and events like this where we stop to celebrate your contributions that make me so proud. So thank you, everyone, and congratulations to the NALC Heroes. Enjoy the day. Thank you, Fred.
Thank you, Megan. The sheer number of potential honorees each year necessitates a very vigorous selection process. And fortunately, we have that. The NALC Heroes are chosen by an independent panel of judges representing community service organizations, emergency public services, and the labor movement. This year's judges met privately earlier this year to review each story of heroism published in the Postal Record. The judges are Richard Bowers, who is a retired fire chief, Department of Fire and Rescue, Fairfax County, Virginia; Christopher Godfrey, Chief Judge and Chairman, the Employees Compensation Appeals Board, U.S. Department of Labor; and Kelly Temple, Director, Labor Engagement, United Way Worldwide. And I want to just thank the judges. None of them are with us today, which is probably a first, but none of them were able to come today. So thanks to the judges. And they've helped us identify winners in 7 categories: a unit citation winner, a special carrier alert winner, 3 regional winners, a National Humanitarian of the Year, and of course the National Hero of the Year. And again, I want to thank our judges for all the work.